What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Birds. We are here heading into week 7 of the NFL season. Man, the season is flying by, but we are back with another buy low, sell high video, giving you some advice on the guys you need to be targeting, getting rid of off your team, some guys you might want to look into grabbing and pursuing to help you make that playoff push. Last time we were here, we talked about some sell high guys we look to avoid, get off our teams heading into the next couple of weeks. Guys we talked about were Antonio Gibson for the Washington football team, suffers that injury last week. The role is still not there for Antonio Gibson as a 3-down back. We were preaching that in the offseason. We saw J.D. McKissic usage in the passing game going to be a problem for him this year, and yes, it did continue into the first 6 games of the year. So J.D. McKissic still be a thorn in Antonio Gibson's side, which is the reason why we were looking to sell Gibson. In addition, Brandon Cooks was a feature on that video. We were looking to get rid of Brandon Cooks after that Thursday night football game against the Carolina Panthers, and he had 2 pretty bad weeks after that. Quarterback Davis Mills not really able to get it going. Did have a solid bounce back week last week, but we're still hoping you could get Brandon Cooks off your team at that point in the season when he was elevated as a near wide receiver 1 after those first couple of games. But let's head into week 7, some guys that we're looking to trade for and trade off our teams. All right, the first guy I want to talk about here is DK Metcalf for the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, not a great week on Sunday Night Football, so everybody's watching this game. Everybody knows the usage he has. 7 targets, 6 catches, under 60 yards against those Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough defense, I will add. But everyone's freaking out about DK Metcalf not having Russell Wilson as quarterback. Geno Smith, a huge downgrade. And yes, I totally agree. Geno Smith is not going to provide the passing game usage for DK Metcalf that a Russell Wilson would. However, I'm not here to sell DK Metcalf for a bag of chips off the side of the road like a lot of guys are right now. Guys are freaking out that DK Metcalf's not going to be a top-end wide receiver. He's going to retain his value. He's going to be a top 15 wide receiver. Yes, it's going to be a low end. It's going to be more towards the back end of that, more towards a middle-tier wide receiver too, but he's not going to lose a considerable amount of his value here. Still the number 1 target on his team, as we saw with the target ratio from Sunday night's 7 targets. Pretty elite number there for DK Metcalf. Yes, we like to see more, but he's a very efficient wide receiver. We know he's going to win those jump balls. And we saw it the week before in the Los Angeles Rams games on Thursday night. Geno Smith targeting him in the red zone and actually throwing a touchdown pass to DK Metcalf. So, the moral of the story here is DK Metcalf, we cannot be looking to trade away at all costs. If you need a win, if your team is struggling, a losing record, fighting for that playoffs, maybe we do look to sell DK Metcalf. But if I have a winning record, if I'm looking to make the playoffs, I'm waiting for Russell Wilson to get back. He's already ahead of schedule. And DK Metcalf's going to have decent value even with Geno Smith. I look for him to be a decent wide receiver too. Not falling off a cliff. I'm not trading at all costs. I'm not freaking out about Geno Smith. We do expect the production to decrease, like I said, but I'm still not a guy that I am panicking over at this current moment. All right, DK Metcalf, a guy we are looking to keep on our team or even pursue if we're in a very solid position. Guy I'm looking to get rid of is going to be Cortland Sutton for the Denver Broncos. And it's hard to say sell Cortland Sutton with the 2 weeks that he's just had. 25 targets for Cortland Sutton in the past 2 games, 15 catches, over 220 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's been a dominant wide receiver the past 2 weeks. But let's keep this in mind. Teddy Bridgewater, the quarterback, still missed him on a bunch of throws in that game. The accuracy has not been there for Teddy Bridgewater. Cortland Sutton could have actually had an even bigger day if Teddy Bridgewater able to hit a couple of those throws down the field to Cortland Sutton. But let's keep this in mind. Jerry Jeudy is coming back from that ankle injury in the near future. Jerry Jeudy still an elite talent in the National Football League. 2nd year in the NFL. First-round pick out of Alabama. We know he's going to command a boatload of targets. He's going to be that number 1 wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, that 1A, 1B, whichever way you'd like to put it. But it's not going to be 20.5 fantasy points per game that we've seen from Cortland Sutton in a half PPR setting. Definitely Cortland Sutton. I'm selling if I can get wide receiver 1 value, if I can get a wide receiver 1 for Cortland Sutton and maybe a piece off my bench, I'm looking to trade Cortland Sutton in preparation of what I'm going to get in the next couple of weeks. Cortland Sutton should, like I said with DK Metcalf, he's not going anywhere. He's not going to be a wide receiver 3, a bench guy that you're looking, but solid flex guy going forward, just not that wide receiver 1 that we've seen the past couple of weeks, with the target share going to drop, no doubt about it, with Jerry Jeudy coming back. We know Jerry Jeudy is going to command that target. So if I can get Cortland Sutton for a huge piece, a huge chip that I can use going forward to the playoffs, I'm like selling Cortland Sutton after these previous two amazing performances. Next guy I want to talk about is going to be Keenan Allen, a guy we loved coming into the year as a very consistent, high floor play wide receiver in the third or fourth round. Now, Keenan Allen hasn't had the season we have hoped for him to have, but we think it's going to get better. I mean, he's still getting 10 targets a game in a Los Angeles Chargers offense that looks amazing besides that game in Baltimore. And let's not forget, Los Angeles to Baltimore, a very long road trip. West to East Coast, definitely going to put a hamper on that early noon kickoff game. So I'm not freaking out about Keenan Allen in the slightest after one poor game from the entire team. It wasn't just Allen. Allen actually had a decent day compared to the other guys, Eckler, Mike Williams. But Keenan Allen, over 10 targets a game, just around. Still getting 70 yards receiving a game. Only one touchdown on the year so far. We think that's going to positively regress back to the mean. Mike Williams has been a dominant figure in this offense, but his health is an issue. Already seeing a limited snap basis from last week due to injuries and game script. But Mike Williams has a tendency to be injured and fade towards the end of the season. So Keenan Allen is going to be there. He is about as consistent as it gets. You know what you're getting each and every Sunday. I love Keenan Allen going forward. His value is going to be as low as it's ever going to be right now, in my opinion. Keenan Allen is only going to get better by this week. You might want to wait a week if you need a win. But after that, New England, still a tough matchup. I'm not going to lie about it. But after that, it looks pretty for Keenan Allen. His playoff schedule might be one of the best in the National Football League. If you're a dominant team with a secured playoff spot, Keenan Allen is definitely someone I want to bring in on my team. Knowing the Mike Williams injury history, knowing the touchdowns are probably going to regress positively towards the mean, and we love that 10 targets a game for Keenan Allen, a PPR monster, some guy I am not worried about in the slightest after this terrible Baltimore week where the offense just did not show up. Like I said, across the country, going to be hard to get right. Those are a couple guys that I think we need to be looking to get on our team, and then one to hop off our team potentially in the near coming future. But we thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.